Halliburton, Stugotz, has now gotten deeper in the Eastern Conference Finals than Joel Embiid ever has. You have in Pascal Siakam someone who has twice now made it deeper into an Eastern Conference postseason than all of the process pieces. Mm-hmm. The Knicks, do you know how long their drought is without making an Eastern Conference Finals in relation to the rest of the league? Longest droughts without getting to a conference finals?
It's got to be 90s. I want to say, 30 years?
It was the year 2000. They've got the third longest drought in the sport. It's only behind the Wizards and the Hornets, the real bottom of the barrel stuff. And the loudest and biggest Knicks season, or the last two seasons, the loudest and biggest this century, eliminated by an 8, eliminated by a 6, barely squeaked past a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two loudest seasons in the Knicks history this century. And good God, did ESPN soak that in bias. I don't blame Pacers fans for being an unholy kind of upset at how that became a celebration of the Knicks, even while the Pacers, Stugotz, are putting together through 3 quarters the best offensive performance that there's been in a Game 7 since 1963.
Right.
They miss no shots.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible that the Pacers, is it just because the Knicks were injured? Is it just because the Knicks were playing a bunch of substitute players that shouldn't have been on the court that the Pacers were able to go through the entirety of that game missing 4 or 5 shots when the game was being decided?
I mean, the Knicks have been doing that the entire series. They've been short. Their bench has been shortened. Randall's been hurt, and they played fine. They made it to a Game 7 on their home court. The Pacers had a great night. I mean, that's it. The Pacers had a great shooting night, a legendary shooting night, the greatest shooting night in the history of the NBA playoffs. There's not much you could do about it when you consider the fact that they had that night and the Knicks are depleted. They just are. I mean, everyone's hurt. Now, listen, it was a great season for the Knicks, and I'm tired of people making fun of the fans. The fans got caught up in a great moment. There were great moments throughout this playoff run, if you want to call it a playoff run, into the Eastern Conference semifinals. But enough knocking Knicks fans, okay? They were loud. They were boisterous. Why? We haven't been there in a while, and because Jalen Brunson provided us with some of the greatest moments in NBA playoff history. He did. I mean, for us. For us. For us. I deserve it.
What happened to the Mecca being hard to play in, and you don't want to play in there in a Game 7 and the 6 seed?
This is why you don't want Game 7, Dan.
Scared.
Right.
Well, if you have confidence in your team and you're better than the other team, you should want Game 7.
Awful take.
We had no confidence in our team. What we had confidence in was the Mecca, was the fans, was that building. There is food flying out of my mouth right now. The Sphere, Dana.
What happened to the Mecca being a hard place to play?
And it is a hard place to play. It wasn't yesterday. I mean,
it's a pretty good time for it to be a hard place to play.
Yeah,
that would have been a good time to summon whatever that is.
The Mecca choke, Dan.
I mean, It was awfully quiet is all I'm saying. When I'm hearing Isaiah Jackson miss a free throw so that the Pacers can merely be up 19 and everyone's really happy that the Pacers have missed a free throw, they got to within 5.
Oh, that run, though. That building was rocking.
That was the Mecca. Pulling the Knicks to within 6, I think, at one point.
But what happened then? But what happened
after that? The Mecca got tired, Dan.
Yeah, did they?
Yeah.
Well, I did feel bad for Brunson. They were picking him up full court, and the intent throughout was just to bury him in fatigue. I thought Stugotz something interesting last night. Obviously, you can't go wrong if you're a coach and you play Jokic all the minutes. But he was exhausted. And the reason they got all those rebounds and all those offensive rebounds, I mean, they might have gotten him if he wasn't exhausted. He was exhausted because he was playing all the minutes, and guys that size don't play all the minutes. And at the end of the game, when that game was being decided, you saw the Timberwolves go up 12-2 because they kept getting second chances because Jokic couldn't keep all those giants. They look awfully small when Jokic is tired. When Jokic is fatigued, all of a sudden you're looking around, hey, where's their power forward? Like where's somebody?
Where's Aaron Gordon?
Where's somebody who's going to grab it? Where's Michael Porter? Where's someone who's going to grab a rebound?
Given the nature of how he shoots the ball, I thought it would be very difficult to tell whether or not Jokic has his legs under him, because he never gets lift anyways. But by the end, they were pretty tired shots. And watching Jokic very closely last year, really for the first time, I noticed, man, 5 minutes into this game, Jokic looks tired. And then his secret to the game was he would just maintain that level of fatigue the entire time.
He always looks tired.
No, but he always looks like kind of tired, but he never crosses the threshold. Last night, we crossed the threshold. Dude looked gassed in ways that I've never seen before.
This is what I will tell you, though, as people talk about, is Anthony Edwards the face of the league, and what happens to another one-time champion, Stugotz? Not enough people are going to talk about the decision to play Jokic all of the minutes, and in the fourth quarter, Minnesota rebounded 70% of its misses.
Yeah.
Like when they come back from 20 and Denver can't score, because Denver being in that series, Stugotz, because of the Minnesota defense, the 30th ranked offense, if we put what they did in this series in the regular season, they would have been one of the worst offenses in the league. They don't do well when they score fewer than 100 points. How is it that we don't get more expertise in the coverage that focuses on defense while we obsess about offense all of the time, Stugotz?
Who wants to focus on defense, Dan? Honestly?
Well, that's the reason Minnesota won, though. Like, you might not want to focus on it. You can focus on all the other reasons that you think they won, but the reason they won is because they wore the hell out of Jokic with their big people, just like Juju said. I assume that's why Juju's dancing. Juju, don't throw your hands up as if you haven't been dancing for 7 minutes.
I mean,
I'm
Dan,
just a humble participant here, guys. I'm just happy to be alive.
Sure you are. I mean, you're making a great point. The Nuggets had 37 points in the second half. Think about that. 37 points in the second half.
Well, I want to ask you something about how the sport is changing, because I will say to you, get used to the idea that a team will come back from 15 down in a Game 7. That's the first time that that's happened. It's the first time it's happened on the road, but get used to that. Once the three-pointer becomes that kind of important, you're going to get these wild shifts in scores, because it didn't mean much that Denver was up 58-38 in the first half. It didn't mean much that Barkley and others were saying, get Gobert off the court, because he can't do anything to defend Jokic. But clearly, them throwing Reed, Karl Anthony Towns, and Gobert at Jokic presents a set of problems that no one else in the league can present for Denver. Nobody makes Denver look like that. Miami with Bam Adebayo did some of that last year and didn't have the offense to overcome it and lost in 5 games. That's not something that you see from a championship level offense. And the thing that I wanted to ask you that's also changing now, the era of the super team was great for the winning of championships. But now, in a sport that is traditionally super predictable, you have a 5, a 6, a 3, and a 1, and you're going to have your 6th champion in 6 years. And each time they win the championship, they tend to break apart, too. Toronto is in no way in any realm what they were with Kawhi Leonard and Siakam. And I always heard that dynasties were seen as bad for the sport, but I don't think that this is better. I like it. I wouldn't have liked Jokic winning 3 or 4 straight titles. I don't think that would have been fun for anybody. I think it would have felt a little bit like San Antonio winning the titles, where people,
boring.
Lil Wayne can't even explain. He's just like, I don't like Jokic's game. I don't like watching any of that. That's not for me. That unstoppable excellence. That's not how I want basketball to look. Is 6 champions in 6 years good for the sport?
Well, the ratings would indicate no. I know that they're in a different place, but sports across the board are up, and the NBA is struggling. Some of that's due to the sport changing, but the poison that met the super teams such as the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors kind of scared players away from it. It scared Kevin Durant away from winning other titles because he wanted to do his own thing, and not a lot of people are comfortable being the bad guy. I don't think this is great in a vacuum when you had the Spurs having their run, Lakers mixed in there, the Heat, dating back to the Rockets and Bulls. You always longed for a day where there was a little bit more parity in the sport, and now that we have it, I'm not sure I love it.
You guys sound like losers.
I am one. I mean,
Jokic had 4 rebounds in the second half. 4 in the second half. And they just came at him with wave after wave of just giant bodies.
I understand what you're saying. He was tired. They wore him down. They have 3 guys they could throw at him. He did have 34 points and 19 rebounds
understood.
in a Game 7.
I know, but Stugotz, their offense was bad.
I know.
And it doesn't matter if you're getting to 90 points against the number 1 defense in the sport. You're going to give up the 20-point lead. You allowed way too many second-chance shots. And Denver's championship was over the moment that Rudy Gobert hit that turnaround jumper.
There we
against
are.
the shot clock.
I am going to tell my grandchildren's children about the night Rudy Gobert shot a ball into the heavens, and it came down not touching a net.
It was unbelievable. It's the way. I did not have Jokic being slain that way. If you could have predicted for me all the ways, if you had come to me, I don't know, 24 months ago and said, look, this is what's going to happen. This guy who keeps getting played off the court because he no longer fits. He's a dinosaur trying to fight against fighter jets. It doesn't fit on the court the way the sport is changing. But this is what's going to happen in a couple of years. Jokic, who's the 3-time MVP, is going to put down his sword because Rudy Gobert is hitting a turnaround jumper that he's floating higher than the shot clock because he's panicked and there's nowhere else to put the ball except throw it toward the basket because the shot clock is expiring.
Enjoy your horses.
But you tell me, if you're Jokic in that game.
Evil voice.
But think about this, though. You're exhausted. You're sitting here saying, oh, really? Again with the 6th man of the year? With a putback, again with Carl. But I've kept Gobert out of here, and now it's Karl Anthony Towns who's going to have the putback. You're exhausted. You want to go see your horses. It's been 2 long years. And then that shot goes in. You're like, I'm going to keep running up and down the court, but I'm thinking of vacation now. I'll keep going. I'll keep trying.
Going through the motions.
I will physically go through the motions. You will see me motioning as if my season is not over. But once that falls from the sky, you've got to be like, okay, this is meant for me. I am destined.
It's not in the cards,
to just go rest somewhere for the remainder of the season. This is a dangerous proposition. Sam Morill cannot be happy right now. He is proud of his team, but he runs dark, and the last time we had him on after a loss, it was just simply dangerous. And he's got a sly smile on his face, and I've got to be honest, I get scared when he's got a sly smile on his face because what can come from behind that mask is dangerous, and it is professional, and it can be funny and sharp, but it can also be violent and unpleasant, and he'll burn everything here down. He doesn't care because he is hurt today, I imagine, but proud of his team. He's our senior Knicks correspondent. He's the commissioner of fandom. He's got shows coming up in Lexington, Kentucky, in Southern California, in Atlantic City, Rochester, Baltimore, here in Doral, in Miami, and same time tomorrow is the Netflix special. Brutal the way that went down yesterday, Sam, in that you know that building hasn't felt like that in a while, and then Anunoby comes out all drugged up, and you get what you need from him and can never get back into the game because the Pacers put up a historic shooting performance.
Well, look, Anunoby, I give him a lot of credit for coming out there, but you just said get what we need. I mean, it's like popping a Viagra and giving you 2 pumps. He hit 2 nice shots. But it wasn't, it's not the difference maker. He gave us 5 minutes. He couldn't walk. So, anyone who says this Knicks season wasn't a success, including Jalen, we're very proud of our team. But you can't say this Pacers team, although a great shooting team, would have beat the Knicks if they were fully healthy. Taking 7 games to put us away, missing, over half our team. Stop shaking your head. And then,
which is the asshole? Which one of them?
Whoever was shaking his head right there.
That was Juju.
Good to meet you, brother. But I cut clips of you calling Joel Embiid soft as hell. He had a bad eye, bad back, bad knee, bad body, and you was celebrating, dancing on his grave, talking about how good the damn Knicks was. Now that y'all lost with some damn injuries, now you want some sympathy. Get your ass out of here.
One guy was good enough to put up a 50-piece. The Knicks were missing 6 players by the end of this series. If you put on Ocean's 11 and there's no Matt Damon, no Brad Pitt, you're just like, what the hell? This movie's not as good. No shit. We're missing over half our rotation. OG was the answer on Pascal Siakam, and he couldn't put up big nights against him. But once Josh Hart is guarding him, no shit, he's going to get cooked in the post. He's much shorter. So, I'm sorry the Sixers lost. I'm sorry, Joel Embiid, hell of a player. One injury, but he was able to still play. And you had a fresh whole team. We didn't have Randall. We didn't have OG this series. We didn't have Mitchell. Injuries are a real thing. All right, well, enjoy having Embiid never healthy for a playoff series because he never will be. He's Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. The Knicks will be back. I say we run it back. I hope we do. I think healthy, we're pretty damn dangerous, so I hope they keep it together.
Cynthia,
back Isaiah, back OG.
Cynthia, can you please put together for me a banner that says, no way the Pacers beat us if we're healthy in Game 7 so that we can send it to Sam and have him put it up in his apartment?
And when you said real fans want a Game 7, this is why I told you you're a jerk off. What are you talking about? Real fans want to win. We wanted to put this away in 6, obviously. I told you I'd be there if there was a Game 7. I was there. Tough game to be at, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Sam, I didn't say that you should want a Game 7. I said that if you have real confidence in being the better team, why would you be afraid of a Game 7 at home?
Do you believe that injuries are not a real thing?
I believe they're a real thing for everybody who's playing basketball this year, and that no other fan base ever wants to hear about your fan base's injuries.
That's fair, but it's a reality, and I think we run it back next year. Hopefully, we're healthy. Hopefully, we bring back OG and Hardenstein. I think they were important to the team.
Sam, I actually realized this series was over when they went to the OG moment. There's only so many times you can go for a Willis Reed moment. They already had one with Jalen Brunson in Game 2 at the Mecca. And so I knew the series was over when they went for another Willis Reed moment, and OG came out looking like me. Like, he looked like he was 93 years old. He could barely walk.
Barely walk, and he hit 2 big shots. But you know when he couldn't barely walk? When he threw a dunk down on Joel Embiid. That was pretty fun. But
I'm a Celtics fan.
Look, he's a hell of a player, and look, bad luck is a thing. It'll happen, and we're grateful for. Here's the thing that's funny is people do have some grudge against New York fans being happy because any other team is this depleted from injury. You're celebrating the resilience. You're like, holy shit, they really fought with half their team. But for some reason, not with the Knicks. Shout out Alec Burks. Great series despite us having just no defensive answer for a sharpshooting Pacers team. And we just didn't have the size. We were getting killed inside by Siakam so much. And their shooting was great yesterday. You have to give your hats off to their shooting. But I just don't think they get those looks if we have a healthy OG, if we have a healthy Mitchell Robinson, obviously. I mean, the defense is they got good looks on us. They're killing us.
Let's play some video here for Sam and see what it is that delights him or agitates him from all of the things yesterday. Let's begin with Stephen A. Smith making his entrance into MSG. And to be fair to Stephen A. Smith, the Knicks didn't have enough healthy star power. He'd be like their second or third most famous Knick. So he should be dressed that way, and he should walk in as if it's his building. But I imagine it made Sam crazy to watch this.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it is funny that he looks like a photographer in a safari in the 1950s for some reason. But no, I like that he's fans should be there. I'm glad that we have fans in the building, but I don't think he's good luck. Is anyone arguing that we're like, oh, good, we're good? I don't think it's a great sign that Stephen A's there. I don't think I was like, oh, this is the juice we need to get us over the top. I don't think Isaiah Hartenstein's playing like, oh, good, the guy who never believed in me. You know, I don't think he's helping us. He ain't Ben Stiller or Spike Lee. He ain't like a guy we're like, oh, cool. But you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to the injuries, as I said. It doesn't really matter. Can we stop?
You sound defeated.
No, look, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. The injuries are a fair point. It's not up for dispute. But let's see if we can play Paul Pierce here. This one surely will get Sam upset. Surely this Paul Pierce stomping on Jalen Brunson's jersey will surely upset Sam.
I mean, this guy is. This guy's in his mid-40s. What is he doing? You know, it's just weird. Why does he hate Jalen Brunson? And then he's defended by saying it's about the Knicks. Paul, keep eating shortbread cookies. You're about 2 packs away from looking like Charles.
No, come on.
No, Dan, it's weird.
There's no fat shaming here on WFAT.
But it's weird. He has no history with the Knicks. Like, what does he care?
Let my boy cook.
Paul Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the last time the Knicks played Paul Pierce and the Celtics in a series, we actually beat him.
Touche.
Let's play for Sam. All of the Knicks appearing yesterday at the game. They were all dressed in black because they were at a funeral for the Pacers here. They all came in dressed in black, including Tibbs. You have to do better than that if you're going to come in black.
You know what's even better about that? That was game 6.
It's fun.
No, yeah. Look, how about Tyrese Halliburton wearing a different outfit coming in than leaving yesterday because he's got no confidence even against a half-healthy Knicks. Tyrese leaves in a Reggie Miller choke shirt. He shows up in, I'm sure, some Prada runway horseshit that looked oversized and ridiculous on him. I didn't see what he came in. But the fact that he had a second outfit in case they won shows how little confidence Tyrese has, even against a depleted Knicks team. So congrats, you beat half our team. I'll give you half a congratulations.
I love it.
Next year, I can't wait to see him again. And I can't wait to cook their ass. Just got to bring back OG and enough of this footage. Let's bring back OG and Isaiah, and it's a wrap. I mean, we will beat them up. Siakam ain't putting up those numbers against a healthy team.
How about
4 front court players missing is insane. It's insane defensively. It's insane for your depth. So.
You were in the building, but you probably didn't catch much of the pregame. Some people in Indiana and elsewhere are bothered by how much Knicks bias soaked the entirety of the broadcast. Here's Stephen A. Doing basically a pep rally for the Knicks.
They ain't here right now. You understand what's at stake. It's been since 2000 that we've been in the conference finals. We've waited 24 years for this moment right here. OG Anunoby is back. Josh Hart's going to play. When you talk about Game 7, it comes down to grinding. It comes down to guts. It comes down to who won it. Come up in here. Come up in here, Spike Lee. You come right here. Come right here. It's orange and blue skies, baby. This is what it's all about right here. This is what we've been waiting for right here. It's Game 7. This is what it's about. Get the hat on. Put it back on it. The New York Knicks. It's about grinding. It's about guts. It's about heart. That's what games are. And Clark just walked by. This is what it's about. This is what we waited for right here. One game, 48 minutes. Orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies. That is what it's all about, Bob.
Well, God, in Game 7, I'm going back to my seat.
It's about me.
Play that at my funeral.
He's not a real, as I've said a million times, he's shown up this year for the first time. So is he a real fan? God, why you show me this, Spike? Poor Spike. Spike's seen it all, man. He's seen it all. Stephen A., enough about
he hasn't seen a title.
He has. How old do you think Spike is? He has seen a title.
Well, we haven't seen him watching a title being won.
That's because you weren't alive. But it existed. I'm sorry it was in black and white. It still exists. You also deny the Holocaust? That happened too.
No.
Yeah, I'm going there, Dan.
No,
I
knew this.
Feels like a lash out, Sam.
I knew you were going to ask escalate it to there.
Yeah.
You cannot be trusted to not.
All this because he had to
escalate it
count
to
on Alec Burks.
Hey, Alec Burks looked good, though. You got to admit.
Thank you.
For being this depleted, he did look pretty damn good.
Bring him back.
You're absolutely
Mr. Game
right.
7.
He's got shows coming up in Lexington, Kentucky, in Southern California, in Rochester, Doral, Baltimore. Same time tomorrow is the Netflix special. Let's leave him with some Tracy Morgan here. Tracy Morgan was very excitable during the game yesterday.
This town is going to be fire! Fire! Fire!
I have some funny sound here to play for the group because I'm kind of bummed, Stugotz, that OKC didn't go longer into the postseason, just so everybody could have fallen in love with just how young they actually are, how young they behave, how happy they are to be in the NBA, traveling all over the United States.
Happy to be there.
I mean, they're just really young, but if you didn't know, the Timberwolves are also really young. And when you put it, Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards in a press conference, and Vince Goodwill, who's been covering the league for a long time, explains to them, and they might not have any working knowledge of the theory that old heads have in basketball, that if you're as young as they are, you have to fail big and publicly a couple of times before you're allowed to win the championship. No team like the Timberwolves has ever gone from where they've been straight to winning the championship before. You have to fall on your face a few times. And Goodwill asks them this question. And just listen, don't think of this as Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Just think of it as a couple of young guys who are a comedic duo who work well off each other when making fun of how bad their franchise has been.
And usually in NBA history, it says you have to lose and lose big before you win. What is it about this team that says
we lost last year?
Yeah, but that's different. You have to lose at a bigger stage. Usually, teams usually.
It's the playoffs. We lost last year.
We lost the last 2 years. Shit.
God damn. How much more we got to lose?
Yeah, how much you want us to lose?
We're losing for 20 years.
I mean, that's just the truth, dog.
God damn.
We've been losing for 20 years, he says, next to someone who's 22. Someone who's 22 years old.
My entire life.
Anthony Edwards is out here at 22. How much more you want me to lose? I lost in the first round last year. That's enough. That's enough losing for
I'm
me
done
forever.
losing. Yeah.
But the first round
I
is
lost
usually
in a practice somehow.
That's right. Well, Karl Anthony Towns, I don't know if he shook some of that reputation last night, but how many of you were out there waiting for him to go bad body language, go to be all the things Jimmy Butler said he was in a practice with Wiggins that we still talk about? In fact, I'd argue that before last night, the biggest moment of Karl Anthony Towns' entire career in terms of leaving a mark, positive or negative, is that in a practice, Jimmy Butler undressed him. It's like the signature moment where for years now we're talking about, is this dude soft? Is he mentally strong enough to do what it is that he did in a Game 7 yesterday?
He could win a title before Jimmy. How about that?
Well, he was better yesterday than Anthony Edwards was. Everybody's talking about what Anthony Edwards is, but 6 for 24. Kobe won a championship one time on 6 for 24 by grabbing a bunch of rebounds and doing a bunch of stuff in a Game 7 that Ron Artest bailed him out of. But 6 for 24 yesterday in a Game 7, that'd leave a mark if they lost. Like that was not that McDaniels and Karl Anthony Towns ended up bailing out Anthony Edwards yesterday, who made a couple of threes when he needed to that were wide open threes, but that was not a strong showing.
But what Anthony Edwards can do, Dan, when he doesn't have it going offensively, he is a great defender.
That's
and
correct.
They put him on Murray in the second
Yes.
half. Murray was great in the first half, not so good in the second
He
half.
said afterward, Edwards came out of the locker room. They caught him out of the locker room. He said, put handcuffs on him. And yes, that was, we talked earlier in the series about what they'd be able to do on the perimeter with Murray and how important it was. And you saw that offense rendered impotent by what they did to him.
He's a great defender. Murray was hurt, and he's going to need to be a great defender in the next round because there's a team that has done its suffering with a young superstar that seems also impossible to stop. And I want to do like a sports cable television topic right now. Which duo would you rather have, Edwards and Towns or Kyrie and Luka?
For a series?
For this series, because I think I know who the better supporting cast is. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are a little bit deeper, depending on which P.J. Washington you get for Dallas, because sometimes I watch that guy, he's like freaking Steph Curry out there, and sometimes he'll be invisible a little bit. But
same with McDaniels, though, right?
But Naz Reid, I think that was like a star-making performance. I know he had some hardware attributed to his name, but that was a star-making performance.
When you say best,
Rudy's a Hall of Famer.
When you say best duos, it sort of doesn't account for the fact that Rudy's not only a Hall of Famer, he's an all-star, and he's an all-star defensively, so it's doing an entirely different set of things than your duo is doing. Your sixth man of the year is also providing stuff that your duo isn't providing. Minnesota is not here because of Anthony Bennett, Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Trash.
Anthony Bennett, the Wisconsin coach.
They're not here because of those guys offensively, though. That's not why they're here.
Well, they're going up against two uniquely gifted offensive superstars that, if you ask anybody, like, I could be draped all over them in that league, and they're still getting their shots off, and it doesn't matter what I do defensively. And Kyrie and Luka are those guys, pretty much. So I can't wait for this matchup. Even though there have been some upsets, it's been an NBA postseason that hasn't had games that get its hooks into you. There have been like maybe 5 good quality games because of the way that the sport's been.
Close games.
Yeah,
Close games.
Like games I wasn't watching with the sound on until the second half, and I was watching with the sound on. I thought that game was over, given what I've seen in this postseason. When a team goes up 15, generally they end up going up 30 in that sport.
But you have checked out on loving the sport the way that you used to, and what you're saying, while it might be true for you and your casual interest, is not true for Juju. He's eating up every bit of this. If you just simply love basketball, you are watching things that don't require the late game buzzer beaters in order to appreciate the kind of players that
I'm watching it. I'm watching it. I'm saying, like,
I'm not saying you're not watching it.
Sole focus.
I'm saying that you need, Mike, you're at a point in your sports fandom where you need extra. You're at the same way that heroin users need more and more heroin to get the same high that they used to get. That's where you are with your sports consuming, where basketball, you needed to keep being all what the Sixers and the Knicks felt like at the end of the games.
Right. No, I appreciate you putting it on me. I think you're absolving a sport from its issues. I mean, the sport has issues. It's not just, and it's not a Mike Ryan issue.
The sport has issues. The sport has issues. It's the playoffs. Look, it's just fantastic. I was 100,000 feet above the earth. Rudy shot the ball. I saw the ball out the window. It went in the rim. Come on.
I don't doubt that any playoff basketball is better than regular basketball, but it's happening at a time in the sports calendar where there are things that are going on that are just of personal interest more to me that I find a little bit more dramatic. Hell, the sound was on at the NASCAR All-Star race, and it remained on till well after the race because even NASCAR gave us a moment worthy of sound.
We'll get
you
to that.
sound like me watching NASCAR. They're just driving around in circles. I'm bored as
We'll get to the fight. We got a fight in NASCAR as well. But, Jeremy, you have a little something here for Stugotz.
How, Stugotz, did you hear the name Anthony Bennett and go to Wisconsin coach? Like, were you talking about Tony Bennett, the Virginia coach?
Anthony Bennett was an assistant at Wisconsin. Look it up.
So that's where we got from Anthony Bennett, the mistake for Anthony Edwards, not the number 1 pick in the NBA, Anthony Bennett.
What happened was he just Googled Tony Bennett to see if there was any
Is that what it was?
Connection to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin assistant.
Name
Anthony Bennett, of course.
Name another lead college basketball assistant.
It's amazing.
Right now, go for it.
I can't.
That was staggering. The way that Stugotz waited. Stugotz, hold on.
It was your mistake.
Hold on. Yes, it was initially my mistake.
Anthony Bennett at least was a Minnesota Timberwolf.
And Dick Bennett was the head coach for the University of Wisconsin at one point.
But
his connection.
His mistake, at least, there was an Anthony Bennett that played basketball for the Timberwolves. I can understand it.
Stugotz is spinning around as if he's won something here, and I wish to examine what just happened, which is the following. I want to let people look behind the curtain because he's got to go to an internet search the moment he realizes he said Anthony Bennett and he said it incorrectly, and now he's going to search the entirety of the internet to find You mentioned Dick Bennett for some reason. You're just firing in all directions, and it is shrapnel. It's just stuff that he spews in all directions, trying to be right somewhere. Please, Jeremy, find for me when Anthony Bennett was an assistant at Wisconsin. What years Stugotz is referencing?
That was Tony Bennett. Anthony Bennett made it all the way to head coach. I mean,
Tony Bennett was an assistant coach at Wisconsin from 1999 to 2003.
So that was the era that you were referencing
Stepping stone,
as a victory for you. Let's go here. I want to get to some Malone sound. Mike was talking about Denver being tested, and you saw when he won that Malone spent a lot of time trolling the Lakers. He really enjoyed himself. The tone, slightly different when you've lost a Game 7 at home.
Absorb a loss like this after going ahead by 20.
Next question, man. The season's over. That's what's hard. Being up 20. The season's over. You don't understand that. The season's over. It's hard. Stupid ass questions.
Ooh. It is warm.
That was rude.
I feel like his answer was dismissive enough. He didn't need the dismount of stupid-ass question.
I mean, he lost to Gobert.
Let's just play that again because this is how it goes down. The bitterness of losing when you're a champion who last offseason got to parade around with you through chains on. Did he have grills at one point?
He called Brucey B. Wait, look at him without Brucey B. You look like an idiot without Brucey B. And I said it.
Play that again.
How hard is it just to absorb a loss like this after going ahead by 20?
Next question, man. The season's over. That's what's hard. Being up 20. The season's over. You don't understand that. The season's over. It's hard. Stupid ass question.
Do you think the reporter understands that, though?
I believe the reporter couldn't have gotten a better answer from Malone. It's perfect. It is a flawless answer. It just sounds and looks a lot different than he did when he was double-fisted.
Is that Paul Wall?
Telling everybody to smoke it last year when they won the title. And now it goes down a little differently when Minnesota's sending all those young people and big bodies at your three-time MVP. Rarely do you get that kind of distilled honesty from a coach. He could have just left it at next question, and we all would have known that he thought it was a stupid-ass question. One more time, play that bitterness so that we can just drink those Denver tears. Goodbye, worthy champion. We're done with you.
How hard is it just to absorb a loss like this after going ahead by 20?
Next question, man. The season's over. That's what's hard. Being up 20. The season's over. You don't understand that. The season's over. It's hard. Stupid ass questions.
Hey, what's up, Shooter?
Well, I'm hanging in there. This Zoom stuff is really exciting.
Oh, it is so nice to see you. Do you know, I know that you do this for everybody.
He addressed him as Shooter.
I know. It's Christopher McDonald, and he's done a lot of other things, although I don't know if people connect with him as much as they do with the asshole Shooter McGavin. You played the so well. I mean, in fact, it's rarely been played better than you, and I'm guessing that this reaction you're getting from us, you get all the time. People who are just delighted to see your face.
Well, delighted is interesting. They love to hate the Shooter. I don't know why. I seem like a nice guy, but the character was so damn much fun to play. And working opposite Sandler and having so many great actors in that show. I can't walk down the street without people just going, shoot. I don't even know if they know my name. They just go, Shooter, and they throw the guns up. It's pretty funny.
Can you explain to us what the connection is, how it resonates, why it resonates? Because have you had another role that feels like that one where it connects with an entire generation?
No, I'd have to say Happy Gilmore is the one that has been standing out. It's crazy. I've been Jerks before, been Jerks in Thelma and Louise, but she had to go over the cliff rather than come back to me. That wasn't good. So I knew I had to go out there a little bit. But this was just so much fun with sports talk and, and all the great lines they wrote and we ad-libbed. It was just, it resonates and people love the Sandman. So everyone's watching this thing. I think they just threw it back on after I made a little faux pas and said, there might be a 2 coming around. Then they stuck it on Netflix and it was like the #1 show for a long time. So that was great.
Do you understand?
Even though I was 28 years old.
Do you understand the connection? Like, can you articulate to us how it is that a moment you had no idea that was going to connect there with so many people, did you?
No idea. No one ever knows, I think, in a movie. You take your odds, you take your shots at it, and then you get test audiences and stuff. And I remember people enjoying it a whole lot when I went to the premiere 28 years ago at Universal. It was very well received, but you never know. No one really laughed at the Shooter so much, but they laughed at me for many, many years after.
What would you say is your breakout role? Is it Thelma and Louise?
Yeah, well, Thelma and Louise was, that was a game changer in a lot of ways. It blew the doors open for a lot of really cool directors to work with, and such a great story. And it was never done before, and so many people turned it down in the business of show because they thought 2 broads, bankrupt. I don't know. I don't think no. And so Ridley Scott, God love him, had the vision and just made it sound so great to the ladies and to the cast. And one of the greatest directors I've ever worked with, because he is your champion throughout, and that is a gift for an actor. He just says, "You do you, man. You go and do it." And if he has any notes for it, he will give it to you. But he just sat back and and laughed a lot at what I was doing. So it's pretty funny.
I should tell the people he was nominated for an Emmy for his role as Marty on HBO's Hacks. It's very funny. It's in season 3, Thursday nights on Max. And last week's episode of Hacks was a golf episode. It aired the night after Netflix announced that a sequel to Happy Gilmore was in the works. Do you guys have for me the video of Christopher McDonald in a back and forth? I don't know what most people want to talk to him about or repeat to him, although he said, they just say Shooter. But let's have the back and forth. He was just such a great, pompous, rich country club golfer. He had the hair for it, the sweater, perfectly cast. No one else could play the role of Shooter. Here's a back and forth with Adam Sandler.
Big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of like you for breakfast.
You eat pieces of for breakfast?
No.
How much of this was ad-libbed? How much?
I use that once a week, by the way.
How much was scripted and how much was ad-libbed?
Everything was scripted up to the point where I said, no. They left it in, which I thought was quite funny because Shooter had no comebacks at that time. He got better later on in the whole stuff. Quit fraternizing with the help. Gilmore, just hit your ball if you can find it. Hi, Grandma. Stuff like that. Just too much fun to do.
Were you around for the Bob Barker scene? Were you in the presence of the Price is Right host when he fought Adam Sandler?
That scene right there is arguably one of the most memorable. I was around. I was making a deal up on the hill with the great late actor, and we had such a fun time. And I stuck around to watch him do it. And the great thing about Bob Barker, God love him too, it was the fact that he said, "I'll do it, but I'd like to do my own my own stunts. I'm a bit of a pugilist." And he was like, like this guy weird. Okay, Bob. And he did it, and it was so funny. And then, The Price is Wrong and all that stuff is just classic.
All scripted, or Barker, did he ad-lib any of it? Did he throw in a bitch here and there that wasn't in the script?
I think they added a bitch at the end. Price is Wrong. When he walks away, comes back, bitch.
On Friday, you posted a pantheon of golfer mugshots.
I'm not sure that's his Twitter account.
No, I would actually like to ask, what are your thoughts on the parody account that has actually kind of helped the legend of Shooter McGavin grow? And I assume a lot of people assume, just like Stugotz did, that you run admin on that account?
You don't?
That's a good question, and I just ran into him recently. I went to Cleveland. That's where I spilled the beans on the #2 happening. All I did was see the front page. But anyway, yeah, he's a good guy, and he's very funny. But I asked him to leave this stuff out, so I have to call him and say, really? But 87 gajillion thousand views, so he's joined the club. he's a funny guy. He gets, it helps him out, helps his family out. They get back, and I talk to him from time to time and say, hey, let's do this or do that, and he just takes it and runs with it. He's a pretty funny guy, so I'm all for it.
What can you tell us that people do not know about the shooting of Happy Gilmore? Any of the behind the scenes stuff? You had no idea. It could have felt at times like you were making a really movie, right? This it can be hard, this line between what it is you guys actually achieved, and sometimes that stuff swings and misses and you have no idea whether it's actually going to work.
Yeah, I think it was mostly a joyous experience. There was a little ad-libbing and a little barb throwing and things like that. And first of all, I had no idea why they call him Shooter, and I thought, I know, I'll get off the tee. I thought, no, that's stupid. That's what Gilmore does. He hits it like a monster. I know, I'll pull the guns out and I'll make this thing and have when I make putts or stuff like that. And that's what stuck. And I did ask Dennis Dugan, our great director, to say, I said, Dennis, I know we're losing light and everything, but please let me make this putt. Don't let it roll into the ball roll into the cup with the no. Let me put it in the hole, put it in one shot. And he said, all right, McDonald, I'll give you 5 tries. And I think that was try number 5 because it lipped out. And it was on a botanical garden because no self-respecting golf club is going to let you, drop a tower on their greens. So we just basically we did that and it went in, and then I just added up like crazy. I went, you didn't, but shoot that, baby. It was just too much funny. I did throw my putter too. I don't know. It could have hit somebody and hurt somebody, but I was just in the zone, and then I think I threw it over their head, thank God.
Because the finger guns were so perfect at just giving off just total condescending arrogance, what were the rejected things that you went to in the mirror before you chose the finger guns? Because I can't imagine anything coming close to the finger guns.
No, I just think if there wasn't much of a other choice. It was basically the finger guns or high sign. I don't know. The fingers thing was Shooter all the way, and just to do that and pop it out each time and like that is just too funny. There are bobbleheads made of the arms going up and down, not like this now.
Who is the strangest or most unusual powerful person who has wanted to talk to you about that role where you've been taken aback?
The strangest, most powerful person? Rich Eisen. He's pretty powerful. I love him. He and Sandler are good mates too. We just we kind of dropped the idea that it might be happening, but this is many years later. I guess it's got to be I don't even know anything about the script, to be honest. So is it the senior tour? Is it the Ryder Cup? I don't know what they're doing, but Tim Hurley and Adam are working at it. So we'll see what happens soon. But Rich Eisen, Adam said, McDonald dropped the ball. What's up? He goes, how could you think you could trust Shooter? Come on, really? So, but it wasn't my fault. That's all I'm saying.
Stugotz was disappointed.
Rich Eisen, there has to be someone bigger.
He wanted someone better than Rich Eisen. Stugotz was palpably disappointed by that.
I'm better than Rich Eisen.
Come on. I
was just saying it.
Come on.
Football podcast of the year, 3 years in a row.
What details of the plot can be?
That's awesome.
Thank you very much. You know
clap.
what? No one else is happy for me around here except for you. I like you, man.
You lost the last year.
What details of the next Happy Gilmore script of the plot can you share with us? Anything?
This much.
Okay.
0. They tell me nothing. They know I spilled the beans a little early, so they keep it away from me. I can't wait to read it, to be honest. Like I say, they're working at it right now, and I know that Tim Hurley was down at the PGA. Oh my God, what is that? Was that great golf or what?
Amazing. Yes.
Great theater, great golf.
It took my breath away. Shot after shot after shot. These guys are monster hitters and insane putters. It was just, if you didn't like golf after watching that, you don't like the game of golf. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you wanted to make your own putt, so it was clear that you liked golf before you got into Happy Gilmore. But since then, it seems like you have such a deep passion for the sport, and that's where I'm sure the access to a lot of powerful people has come in, because they all love that movie too. And you've just been, it's almost as if you're considered a real golfer in golfer circles. It's odd.
It is odd. It is the most wonderful and frustrating and mind-blowing and exciting game. I've played a lot of sports in my day, but I didn't get into golf until later on in my early 20s. So it's a game I love to play. I mostly do it for charities. It's great. We raise a lot of money for St. Jude's with our friend Patrick Warburton. We helping kids out that are having a hard time in life. It's nothing better than to get together and do it for a great cause and raise a lot of money to save those things. But for the most part, it's just I get new clubs. I've got I hate carrying my gloves because the original clubs were stolen off of a plane. I couldn't say, where's my gloves? They're not here. Oh man. So I got really bummed about that. And then Wilson's is so nice enough to send me another set. And then now I play with PXGs and I have Callaways up in the mountain. It's good. It's good stuff.
How underwhelming is your actual golf game for people?
What a question. People ask me, you really golf shooter? And I go, I can play.
I bet you're good.
answer.
I bet you're good. And I bet you don't want to brag now, but I would love to make you our golf correspondent. If you just want to analyze what happened this weekend, the genuine passion, the radiance that emanated from you talking about golf, please, the stage is yours. Tell us everything that you loved about this weekend that included the world's #1 golfer being arrested before a round and doing a stretching in jail.
Yes, how insane was that? I love the guy. He's fantastic. I was rooting for a lot of people on that. And JT had some insane shots. He chipped out of, I think 3 or 4 times he chipped out of the sand. Unbelievable golf.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.